Hi folks, let's have a look and see what was new on Netflix for the fortnight of the 9th, the 22nd of November. Apologies for not having a video last week, however, there was an issue with a toddler, my eyes and his fingers. First up is Love is Strange, about Alfred Molina and John Lithgow playing a couple who are fired from their positions and have to sell their home to find cheaper housing while staying with friends. Pound of Flesh is an action thriller with Jean-Claude Van Damme set in Manila about an ex-Black Ops agent who wakes to discover his kidney has been stolen. Now he must go and find his missing organ. Disney's Country Coyote Goes to Hollywood is a fish-out-of-water story about a country coyote unknowingly hitching a ride in a van bound for the Hollywood Hills. The biggest release on Netflix of recent memory seems to be the TV show of Jessica Jones, starring Carrie-Anne Moss and Doctor Who's David Tennant. This Marvel-based TV show is about Jessica Jones, who's haunted by a traumatic past and uses her gift as a private eye to find her tormentor before he can harm anyone else in Hell's Kitchen. Seems to have everybody talking about it at the moment, and I haven't laid eyes on it yet. Robert Zemeckis and Jim Carrey team up for a slightly animated version of Charles Dickens' classic A Christmas Carol. Was on Netflix before, but now it's back just in time for Christmas. Cocaine Cowboys Reloaded is a crime documentary set in the 1970s in Miami about a hub of international drug smuggling operations that adopted advanced new technologies to increase their profits. Kabhi Alvida Na Heenan is a romance about football players who are both committed to loveless marriages but wish to follow their hearts and be together. Hit and Run is a fairly robust action comedy starring Bradley Cooper, Tom Arnold, Beau Bridges, Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard. Surprisingly entertaining with a considerably impressive lineup of stars. Life Without Dick is a romantic comedy starring Terry Garr, Sarah Jessica Parker and Harry Connick Jr. about a woman who learns that her boyfriend has been unfaithful, accidentally shoots him, and that makes things easier for a rookie hitman who has been hired to kill him already. Sounds painful. Lords of Dogtown is a pretty good coming-of-age drama starring Rebecca De Mornay about a group of misfits from California's Venice Beach who invent a new form of skateboarding and have to endure the heartache when the sport becomes big business. Final Fantasy VII Advent Children is, I believe, the second in the Final Fantasy movie series, set around the computer games, picking up 2 years after the original movie and following the actions of the attack by 3 mysterious brothers. Naomi and Eli's No Kiss List is a romantic comedy about Naomi and her gay best friend Eli, who have been inseparable since childhood, but their bond faces the biggest test yet when they fall for the same guy. Stuart Little 3 Call of the Wild is the vastly cheaper third outing of the little mousy character, still voiced by Michael J. Fox and featuring many of the original voices like Hugh Laurie and Gina Davis. Happily Never After is an animation movie about an alliance of evildoers who look to take over the fairy tale land. But Cinderella realizes that her stepmother is out to ruin her storybook existence, featuring the voices of Sigourney Weaver, Sarah Michelle Gellar, George Carlin and Freddie Prinze Jr. Testament of Youth is a British drama about an aspiring writer and the young men she grew up with during the madness of World War I, starring Emily Watson, Dominic West and Miranda Richardson. Scorpion is an action drama show about Homeland Security enlisting a super genius and his motley team of protégés to protect the nation from a sophisticated new generation of terrorists. Bad Blood is a crime thriller about a mechanic whose DNA matches a serial killer and she has to prove her innocence. Stars no one notable, but does get fairly positive reviews. Don't Look Back is an independent psychological thriller about a novelist who inherits her grandmother's home only to be confronted by harrowing recollections of her past. Fear is a crime thriller starring Lauren Hutton and Ali Sheedy about a psychic who can help the police crack a tough serial killer case, but despite plans to quit and become a writer, she's drawn into one last case. Square Grouper is a crime documentary about 3 unusual stories of drug trafficking in Florida during the 1970s and 1980s. The Wrecking Crew is a documentary about a backing musician band that provided backing instrumentals for a number of popular bands in the 1960s. Meet My Valentine is a romantic drama about a man who learns of a terminal illness and goes to ensure the future for his wife and child, including trying to find his own successor. Nanny Cam is a dramatic thriller in the vein of The Hand That Rocks the Cradle about a mother who hires a teenage babysitter who's plotting to destroy her. The Brittany Murphy Story is a biographical drama starring Sherilyn Fenn about a story of a determined mother and her aspiring young actress daughter, Brittany Murphy, who becomes an overnight movie star but remains haunted by her inner demons. Mandie and the Forgotten Christmas is a kids' Christmas movie about a forbidden attic harbouring a hush-hush holiday mystery. Naked Among Wolves is a German drama about an orphan boy smuggled into a concentration camp. He is protected by the prisoners, but the camp's Nazi guards soon learn of his presence. Dark comedy starring Ryan Reynolds, The Voices arrives, about a psycho who hears voices from his dog and cat that help him with his day-to-day choices. Nebraska is an independent drama about an old boozer who thinks he's won a magazine sweepstake and his son reluctantly taking him on a road trip to claim his fortune. Bruce Dern, Stacy Keach and Will Forte star in a movie that critics went head over heels for. Call Me Lucky is a documentary directed by Bobcat Goldthwait about the varied career of a bombastic comic and social critic, Barry Crimmins, and the painful past that inspired his peaceful activism. Jungle Book 2 is the sequel to the 1967 Disney's Jungle Book, featuring an all-new story as opposed to being based around the second Jungle Book book written by Rudyard Kipling. There's a couple of new Star Trek documentaries directed by William Shatner. The first is The Captains, that features William Shatner, Patrick Stewart, Scott Bakula, Kate Mulgrew, Avery Brooks and now Chris Pine as they discuss the role of the captain in Star Trek. The second is Chaos on the Bridge, about the story behind the making of The Next Generation. William Shatner delves into the history of how The Next Generation came together, interviewing most of the cast and the producers and the pitfalls that Gene Roddenberry had to navigate through in order to get The Next Generation into fruition. There's also a couple of documentaries about the Mansons. First is Manson, an in-depth interview with the Manson family member Linda Kasabian, featuring rare footage and reenactments surrounding the terror. There's also the Mansons' Missing Victims. Investigators delve into the cases of the missing persons who may actually be murdered members of the Manson family who tried to desert the cult. Directed by William Shatner. The over-the-top, if completely enjoyable thriller The Siege, starring Denzel Washington, Annette Bening and Bruce Willis, makes its way onto Netflix. It was on before, but now it's back, and it's pretty good fun to sit through, if not quite as tense and action-packed as it could have been. Tom Hanks directed comedy That Thing You Do, about a young boy band in the 1960s, is ready for watching. I kind of enjoyed this one back in the day. There's a couple of those PBS documentaries that Netflix likes to put on. The Roosevelts, An Intimate History, features profiles of 3 members of one of America's premier political families, Theodore, Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt. There's also Frontline, My Brother's Bomber, in which there's a hunt for new evidence for the 1998 bombing of Pan Am Flight 103. Romantic drama Big Eden arrives, about Henry Hart who returns to Big Eden and winds up confronting his unrequiting passion for his high school best friend and his feelings about being gay. And finally, my pick of the week is The French Connection. Gene Hackman and Roy Scheider star in this top-end 70s crime thriller about 2 tough narcotic detectives in hot pursuit of a suave French drunk dealer who may be the key to a huge heroin smuggling operation, featuring an immense car chase and directed by the man who made The Exorcist, William Friedkin. There's nothing not to love about this movie. It is fantastic. Well, thanks for watching, and remember to check out what's new on Amazon.